Shalom, I'm Pastor Bruce Dowell, Senior Pastor at Shiloh Messianic Congregation here in Southern California. I want to welcome you to our website, and I want to thank you for coming on and taking your time to read the articles, to watch the videos. And if there's anything that we can do to help you in your walk, please feel free to contact us. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to share some thoughts with you and any help that we can give to you. Today, I want to talk about the Moedim that we're commanded to celebrate once a month, and it's called Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so let's start by reading in Yeshayahu, that's Isaiah 66. We're going to look at verse 22 and 23. I'm reading from the Complete Jewish Bible. It says this. It says, "For just as the new heavens and the new earth that I am making will continue in my presence, says Adonai, so will your descendants and your name continue. Every month on Rosh Chodesh and every week on Shabbat, everyone living will come to worship in my presence, says Adonai." What we're being told here in Isaiah is very interesting. The Lord is telling us that during the 1,000-year millennial reign of Yeshua, the Messiah, on planet Earth, we are going to be celebrating not only Shabbat every week, but also Rosh Chodesh on a monthly basis, okay? Now, Rosh Chodesh literally means, Rosh is head, Chodesh is new or renewed. So what we have is the new head, or the head of the month. We often refer to it as the celebration of the new moon, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the idea, it's the beginning of the month for us. Now, this is very crucial to us for several reasons. The very first reason is actually in Exodus chapter 12, we're given this commandment. This is the very first commandment that God gives to the children of Israel. The very first commandment, he says, "This will be the beginning of months for you." And so he kicks off the entire Torah, he kicks off the entire Moedim, all the appointed times, by saying, this is where we're starting. We're going to start by counting and acknowledging this new month. Now, why do we do this? Well, we do this because the very first of the month is crucial to us. As we count from the first of the month, we're given several days that we need to count off. For instance, in the springtime, when we're coming up towards Passover, we are told to bring the lamb into our house on the 10th of the month. Well, how do you know when the 10th of the month hits if you don't know when the first of the month started? You must count. Then on the 14th, that lamb is to be slain. And then, of course, we count from there. We count the 7th month. And all of these different holidays, all of these different Moedim are dependent on counting, and they all depend on understanding when the first of the month has arrived for us. Okay? Now, I want to go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. This is the most interesting scripture because Daniel 7:25 tells us the strategy of our enemy, the devil. How many know that if you're going to defeat your enemy, you've got to know his strategies? Every good general knows this, and it's true even in the spirit realm. We need to know the strategies of our enemy so we can be a step ahead of him. Daniel 7:25 gives us the three strategies of the devil. It says this: he will speak words against the Most High, that's number one, and try to exhaust the holy ones of the Most High, that's number two, and he will attempt to alter the seasons and the Torah, and holy ones will be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time. Okay, so what we're being told is the enemy is going to take the name that's above all names, and he's going to cause it to be reduced to a name that literally has no meaning. And we can talk about that later, but he has been successful in that. The second strategy is he comes against the saints of God, the people of God, and he wears them down to the point where they're so tired they just want to quit. They just want to give up. They don't care. And of course, he's been highly successful in that. And thirdly, he seeks to change the times and the seasons and the calendar. And he's done that, and we've talked about the whole idea of how we've replaced God's appointed times with man's traditional times. And so he has effectively removed these times. Now, what's interesting is this. Every time the spirit of Antichrist or anti-Messiah rises up in the world, and this spirit has risen up in the world many, many times throughout history, but every time the spirit of anti-Messiah rises up, he takes away three things from the people of God. He forbids them from circumcising their children. So we understand circumcision is of high value, and the enemy knows the value of it. He outlaws the celebration of Shabbat. And so again, because of his outlawing Shabbat, we see that Shabbat is extremely important. And the third thing that he always does historically is he outlaws the celebration of Rosh Chodesh. So what we see is Rosh Chodesh, through this process of elimination, as it were, rises up into the category of importance along with circumcision and Shabbat. Very interesting when we look at that. So we understand that Rosh Chodesh, the new moon, is something that we need to concern ourselves with. Now, the new moon is important for several reasons. And first and foremost, because most of the Moedim are time sensitive. What I mean by that is they are scheduled at certain times of the month, on certain days of the month. And the only way we know when we're at that day is if we start counting the month from day one. You have to remember that God's calendar is different than the calendar you and I have hanging on our refrigerators. That is a Greek calendar, a Roman calendar, and it's not the calendar that God goes by. He goes by his set times, his calendar, and therefore we've got to get in line with his calendar and his understanding of things. Otherwise, we're going to miss Nisan or Aviv 14th, which is the Passover. We're going to miss unleavened bread, which is on the 15th of Aviv. We're going to miss Yom Teruah, which is on Tishri 1. We're going to miss Yom Kippur, which is on Tishri 10. And we'll forget to celebrate Sukkot, which is on Tishri the 15th, if we don't know when the first of these months arrived. Now, we do several things at Rosh Chodesh every month. I can only tell you what we do at Shiloh, but we have a good time. We have an oneg. An oneg is it's a fellowship time. It's a gathering together with a meal. It's something that we would call here in the West a potluck, okay? The oneg. We worship, we teach, we blow the shofars because we're commanded to blow the shofar at Rosh Chodesh. And in general, it's a time of fellowship and checking out some of the different scriptures about this. So what we do is we just acknowledge this day and we begin our counting of the month from this day. Now, in conclusion, let me say this. When we celebrate Rosh Chodesh, we're not worshiping the moon. Okay? I want to make that very clear. We're not worshiping the moon. What we're doing is acknowledging the first of the month so we can pinpoint God's regulated times and seasons, his Moedim. We're keeping a biblically appointed time. For I read to you at the very beginning from Yeshayahu, Isaiah, we're not only commanded to do this, but we are also informed that we're going to be doing it for 1,000 years while Messiah is ruling and reigning from Mount Zion. Okay? I want to thank you for watching the video today, for learning a little bit more about Rosh Chodesh. If you have any questions, feel free to call the office. We'd love to see you at one of our Rosh Chodesh celebrations. It's just a great time. It's a time where we just get together and we just do the things that God has asked us to do. If there's anything else that we can help you with in your walk, feel free to contact us. We'd love to help you in any way that we can. And I just want to leave you with this thought. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom.